I can adopt that.
English understatement. Very, very good example. Did you ever consider politics? Beyond being mayor of Carmel?
Well, I did on a local level, but it was only for the local reasons. I was interested in my own community. I never considered it beyond that. No. There was a lot of speculation from people.
Yeah.
I was kind of setting up. Reagan was president at that time, and so people were thinking, oh, here's another actor who's going to try to become a senator or what have you. But I had no ambitions that way, and I don't.
Because you've got better things to do?
That would be, most of those kind of jobs would preclude working in films, which I love, and I'm not ready to retire to some other profession, especially the kind of nightmare bureaucracy that you have to face.
Yeah.
And you're sold to too many people. There's not a I love all these politicians. You see them on television all the time, both sides, no matter, I don't care what party they're on, they're always talking about special interest. Nobody ever specifies what the special interest is, but everybody, our system unfortunately breeds that, is everybody owes somebody something because you have to ask so much of people to get the job, and that would be distasteful, I think.
Are you more trusting now than you were when you were younger, or less trusting?
It's very hard to say, because it's hard to look back and put yourself in the feelings you had 30 years ago. I think I like myself better now than I did 30 years ago, because I think I was very restless at that point in my life, and I think I was struggling. I wanted to get ahead. I had a normal ambition that a lot of kids have when they're trying to get started in a profession, and especially a profession as precarious as acting in films, where there's 5,000 people for every job or what have you, and you're a member of the Actors Guild, probably per capita most unemployed group in the world, because there's just a lot of people who want the jobs, and sometimes there's not enough to go around, and it's very tough. When I'm casting a film, I'm always very conscious. I ask the casting lady if she'll put people on tape. It's not because I don't want to meet people, but if I met everybody, I'd hire everybody. I can't, I've been turned down enough and beaten up enough on interviews in the early days that you just can't, you just don't want to put out any false hopes for anybody. You want to really make sure you want the person for the part before you get committed to handshake.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that too, as you grow older and as you see whether it's the violence in the world or people's lives being less than they might be, that you would more and more like your films to make some contribution rather than just be pure entertainment. Is that right?
I think so. I've tried to make contributions along the way, and in films, I make little statements. Some of them in recent years quite strong, but you do change your feelings. When I approached Gene Hackman about doing his part in Unforgiven, he was very reticent, because he's in a period in his life, and we're about the same age, that he's in a period in his life where he doesn't want to be depicting violent behavior on the screen, and both his public relations man, who's a writer himself, liked the script very much and talked him into doing the part, explaining to him that this was an opportunity to make a great statement against it, even though he would be a man who had a sadistic streak to him. They could make a great statement against violent behavior. So he recognized that in it and did a great job in playing it. But it just shows how he's changed, because he like myself, has done a lot of films, action-oriented film. In fact, The French Connection, one of his most famous ones, etc. But so people do change, and I recognize that change in him, as I recognize it in myself and other people. As you grow older, you want to do things that have a little more meaning for you at that time, at that time, this time in your life. Not 30 years ago. There's no way to know all that.
And you've completed your 40th film, isn't it? Do you know what, in the light of what you just said, have you any idea what the 41st will be?
I have no idea. I finished this one called In the Line of Fire. It is.
In the Line of Fire.
And it's a nice story about the Secret Service, and they liked the story. They even sort of approved it, which is something they don't normally do. They haven't done in the past. And we had Wolfgang Peterson, who was a very fine director, and a very nice, very solid crew. So I have great expectations. I haven't seen a frame of it, but I have expectations only because it was a good story, and I'd like to be interested in seeing it.
And after that, do you at any one time, do you have, like you had Unforgiven waiting for 9 years, do you have in the drawer 7 or 8 projects?
No, I don't. I don't have that. I have a project I'm going to do next summer called A Perfect World. It's a film I'm going to direct with Kevin Costner, playing a very good role in it, and it's the only project I'm thinking about right at the moment. I have a couple others I'm thinking about down the line, but they're in various stages now. That my main concentration will be on this Perfect World, starting very soon.
And was the 9 years of Unforgiven, was it because suddenly the message became more relevant, or was it also that you were waiting to be a certain age yourself?
Yeah, both. Both. I was waiting for it because I thought it might be my last statement in this genre, but I was also waiting to be the age I felt would be right for it, but also the times kind of inspired me to bring it out and do it at this time. These times that we live in it just became I can't really give you an earth-shattering bolt out of the blue kind of decision thing that went on in my head, but it just seemed like this was the time to do this film.
It was more that than looking in the mirror and saying, today you're ready for Unforgiven.
Yeah, I think there might have been that, but it wasn't looking in the mirror. There might have just been a combination of events that just said, this is the time to do this one.
Do you think, as we sit here now, that the world in which the young people who are watching us now, is it a worse world, do you think, than the world of the time of the Unforgiven, and, you know, going back to the time of the Westerns? Do you think the world today, because of the complexities and all of that, or do you think we're lucky to be alive now?
I think we're lucky to be alive now. I think times are good now, though past times have been good too. I mean, it's hard to say, very hard to say if you haven't lived in that. I think when you figure that the average age in the early 1900s, in 1900 was about 40 years old. People, if you got a bad cold or you got some sort of influenza, you checked out.
And in fact, you and I would have had one other great problem if we'd lived more than 100 years ago. We'd both been out of work because there wouldn't have been any television and there wouldn't have been any movies.
That's true. What do you think you'd be doing?
Inventing television.
Inventing television?
Just in order to get a job.
In order to be sitting in, how to be not out there digging and plowing the corn or something.
But where are movies today? Are movies still in their infancy, relatively speaking, to the cosmos? Or are they in their middle phase?
Well, there are always movies, whether they're projected on television or projected in theaters, they're always going to be with us. I remember going with my parents to the World's Fair in 1939. It was the first television screen, little tiny screen, and you could see some fuzzy picture of a guy standing there, and the whole idea of movies being run in your own home was really overwhelming. As a kid, you're thinking, wouldn't that be great? Because then you'd go home to your house and you'd listen to radio. That would be your only form of entertainment. But and now, of course, we have that, and of course, it's robbing the kids of other opportunities, the art of learning to read, and certain things that values we should not overlook. But at the same token, it's a great form of imagine the knowledge that goes on in the world that is transmitted every day that wasn't transmitted in those days. took weeks to get through. During World War II, all the events that were shown a week later on some movie-tone news or something are shown every night, you know, hours, within hours and sometimes minutes of. So the whole media thing, electronic thing, and the projection of movies, I think it's going to go on forever. That'd be fabulous.
And the secret, perhaps, Clint has never been too taken with his own success. I think that's one reason he's kept in touch with his audience. He still thinks the way they do. That was Sondra Locke in 1987. Is that accurate?
I don't know. That was somebody else's statement, but that's.
But do you think it's accurate?
I don't think if you sit around and dwell upon things you've done, and if you think about yourself as well, let's say I'm a well-known movie actor and what have you. If you start thinking in terms of that, you get distracted from what you really are as just a person, and you're just doing a job. And in order to relate to other human beings, you have to not ever take yourself seriously. You can take the work seriously, but don't take yourself seriously.
Thank you very much. The time's rocketed by.
Thank you, David. Pleasure.